You got Monkey DeLuffy. What's the connection with no kings?
The flag's been used in a lot of the overthrows between the oppressive governments of Nepal and Madagascar.
Okay.
Become an international symbol of.
I mean, this is like a real symbol that's being used in those countries?
Yeah, it's been seen in those countries.
Okay.
And that's why it's considered more for a symbol for liberation.
Okay. And really quickly, for everybody who doesn't know, what is Monkey DeLuffy, or who is he?
Monkey DeLuffy, he's a pirate that is about, freedom of everything, freedom from tyranny, freedom of expression, freedom of, being yourself. And so that's where he comes into play, because in his story, he goes against oppressive governments, tyrannical dictators, and helps the enslaved and the oppressed.
And this has been flying in Madagascar and where else?
Yeah, it's been used during the protests of Madagascar and Nepal.
Nepal, I do remember Nepal, yeah. But in Nepal, they voted out the communists, and they brought in a center-right government. Does that kind of go against your mission?
From what I'm seeing in Nepal, I haven't double-checked on Nepal.
They voted out communists.
Okay.
So you're anti-communist.
Anti-communist depends on what you're talking about.
Okay.
For communism, the issue with communism is that there's always that last step of no one being in control, but there's always someone who gets in control.
Okay.
That's the issue with communism currently.
Yeah.
That's why it's more preferred for people to have a more social democratic stance.
I see. Yeah. So there should be like socialism. You want socialism?
Social security, social welfare.
Okay.
For mothers who are single mothers, there should be a support system for that.
Okay. I'm Cuba Libre. What do you think about Cuba?
Cuba, it has a good education, it has good medical, but because of some of the government's actions, it tends to be a bit hard to show personal.
So you think, and here he is, the guy who pushes drag queens on kids is trying to stop you from speaking to me. I don't know why. That's very strange.
Okay.
But
So would you like to free Cuba?
Absolutely.
How would you like to free it?
I would like to see Cuba where the people are voting for free enterprise. They have freedom of speech. They don't have freedom of speech. They don't have freedom of assembly. I've spoken to Cubans who have visited there, who have fled the country. It is a communist dictatorship. As you said, though, communism can never really happen because, as you know, someone's got to call the shots.
No one has to call the shots in communism. There's people that take over that call the shots. That's different.
So somebody leads, but that means they're in charge, right?
In a pure communism, no one is in charge. Everyone takes care of each other. Just like how you would take care of a mother, who needs help, right?
Okay.
You would help a mother who needs assistance with food for their child,
okay,
help for their child's growth and education.
So let me ask you this. Should I be required to do it, or can I do it if I choose to?
Do we pay taxes?
Okay, so you're saying I should be forced to.
We all are forced to do something.
I think
you give up certain liberties to help everyone.
But in Cuba, it's like you don't own the cow. If you have a cow, you can't do whatever you want with it. You said the education is good, but so many people flee the country. They don't want to.
People are fleeing the country here now. They don't want to deal with an oppressive government.
Okay.
They want to deal with a tyrannical dictator.
Fair enough. But in Cuba, are people allowed to leave anytime they want? They're not.
There's people who leave all the time.
They're not. They have to cheat or they have to sneak out. Whereas here, you can leave freely.
Everyone who's a refugee.
Not here.
Everyone's a refugee.
You just said people are leaving. People are allowed to leave.
Choosing to leave. Yeah.
They are choosing, and they get to.
People who left Cuba chose to leave.
They wanted to, but the government tried to prevent them.
But they forced to leave.
So, and the government. That's the other thing. The government was oppressive. So you got to think about that. A socialist system doesn't sound like a lot of fun. I talked to the Cubans. Talk to the Cubans. They hate it.
You don't want Social Security when you're older?
No, I want to take care of myself.
How will you take care of yourself?
I save my money. That's how.
What money?
The money that I earn from my job.
For your job?
And I don't plan on retiring.
So you don't pay taxes, is what you're saying?
Unfortunately, I do. I don't think the taxes are being used properly.
So you don't believe anyone
I think that taxes should fix our roads. I think that taxes should provide for public safety.
If you choose not to pay, you can't pay for roads. You can't pay for plumbing. You can't pay for electricity, correct?
I do pay for plumbing when I rent an apartment.
Are you going to run your own generator, your own water mill?
Those are private companies.
No, because you're going to be by yourself. You're not going to want government.
Those are private firms.
They're not going to help you.
Listen to what I said. I don't have a problem with the taxes paying for the roads. It's a public good. I don't have a problem with taxes paying for public safety. That's a public good.
Corporations pay for the roads they use.
No, they don't.
Why not?
This is my tax money.
Why shouldn't corporations use it?
Why not?
Or if they're not paying taxes, they shouldn't use it, correct?
That's that argument I've heard a lot. Actually, corporations, you know what? They get a lot of handouts from the government, don't they?
Exactly.
I want to end that.
So we should
Everybody should be fair.
We should end loopholes for everyone.
I agree.
Everyone.
Let's do
Because
that.
of
I would
tax
have no
brackets.
problem with a minimal tax burden,
Shows up
and
tax
that I get
brackets.
to keep as much of my money as I want, because
Yeah.
that's
once you hit a certain
freedom.
pay rate, you get taxed on that percentage.
and that should stop. Me as a citizen, you as a citizen, you should be able to make as much as you can and keep as much of it. You know what I would
should be able
like?
to make as much
So
as we can
I like
and
the
help
idea
as much
of
as we can.
no income tax. I like a sales
We
tax.
should have income tax.
We should.
We should.
But that's you know what? You know who wanted the income tax? The billionaires. Because you know what? They know the loopholes and they
So
avoid
we
it.
close the loopholes and start charging them past a certain percent. So once you hit
Okay.
a certain threshold, then you start taxing that threshold. Anyone makes under 250,000 should not be taxed. Can you
Okay.
believe that?
So what happens if I make 251,000?
Then you get charged on that $1 pat to
Okay,
250,000.
fair enough.
That's all you need.
Let me ask you this.
250,000 and live
You know,
well, right?
we're in California, right? That has high tax on companies, corporations, right?
It's not enough.
So
Back then
you know
in the
what's
50s,
happened,
it was
right?
About 50 to 60%.
But you know what's happened to a lot of the businesses, don't you? They've left the state. They leave.
Which businesses?
Oh, where do you want to start? We've got like Charles Schwab. We have local businesses, small
Billionaire companies,
businesses.
correct?
So what?
Because they don't want to pay for those taxes.
Exactly.
So why don't we force everyone to pay those taxes that are past $1 billion?
Oh my God. You said force. What happened to my freedom?
Are you a billionaire company?
But what happened to my freedom?
Are
You said
a billionaire
force.
Company? Are you a billionaire company?